Okay, good morning, folks, and welcome to Stock Charts Today. This is Bob Desmond at the Contrarian Trader, and let's kick things off with a couple of headlines out of ZeroHedge.com. First up, overnight, Chinese stocks slumped at 2018 lows as Latin American markets soar. What I really take away from this headline here is watch the U.S. markets, watch the European markets, because there's a strong correlation between the Shanghai Composite and the U.S. stock market. We'll talk more about the U.S. markets in a moment. They are up in the pre-market, the futures anyway. Another story out there deals with IBM. IBM reported earnings and revenues yesterday that beat the street. The problem is that while revenues rose, the only way that they were able to beat the street on earnings was they had favorable tax treatment, and in fact their expenses rose. So this is just a classic example of how these companies, they massage the numbers, they beat on the headline, but in reality, when you dig down into their numbers, the reality is that they didn't do nearly as good as the headlines would portend. Let's get to the charts. So here's the price action this morning on IBM. Here was the knee-jerk reaction on the earnings announcement. The shares rose. Remember, you have algos out there. What they do is they scrape headlines. So they buy immediately, well before you can even have a second to digest what the underlying numbers are. They buy on the headlines. That's why the knee-jerk reaction is often the wrong reaction. Beware of the computers. And sure enough, only moments later, clubbed and taken down to lows not seen since April the 6th. So all of these gains given up in only a few minutes. Watch out for the headlines on these companies. Please allow the markets to settle down and then execute your trades once you've had a moment to digest how the market is responding. Because the knee-jerk reaction is frequently the wrong reaction. Case in point, IBM. It rallied and then sold off. You see this all the time. Let's get to the major averages. The S&P futures are up this morning, about 0.19%. A nice base forming here. So I think that the path of least resistance remains higher. Remember, it was on Monday we were talking about this bull flag formation, and I said that we would probably see a continuation move higher, and we got that breakout. We do have resistance above here. These are all 4-hour charts, so very short duration charts. It's hump day, so members, tonight we're going to take a look at the weekly chart, see how it's setting up after the close. So you get a feel of how we may close out the week, and that way we could start thinking about next week and how we want to position ourselves. The NASDAQ, we are bumping right up against resistance. We were up about 1/4 of a percentage point this morning. The Dow futures this morning are up 47 points. Here's what we're looking for here on an intraday basis. We're looking for this support level to hold and a breakout above this resistance level here at, let's call it 24,760. And that would mark a continuation breakout. What was yesterday's highs? 24,827. So we closed off the highs of the day yesterday. That's a trend we've been seeing pretty much every day, every up day that we've had of late. Taking a look at the US dollar, 4-hour chart again. We broke out overnight, and we now have a continuation bar over this prior bullish key reversal. So we're seeing a bit of strength on the US dollar. Now, given the fact we have a move higher on the dollar, we want to take a look at gold. Gold is holding its gains here. We're rallying off the lows of the session, so not really being affected yet by the rally in the dollar this morning. But we'll keep an eye on it. We like gold. We are very, very close to a breakout. This yellow bar here would mark a weekly breakout should we close above it. Now, it's rare that you have the dollar and gold trade in tandem. When you do, you normally have geopolitical risk, which is causing a flight to safety. Given the fact that we're still seeing a tit for tat in this trade war, it's gone into now banning the sales of certain products to and from China. Let's take a look at silver. Silver's having a good morning. It's up this morning, a little over a quarter percentage point, so it's bucking the strength in the US dollar for sure. So silver's looking good. So that's the pre-market activity this morning, folks. Let's segue into members' stock chart requests. This is where I review the symbols that our members submit for me to review on video. The first chart up, Twitter, weekly chart. They caught an upgrade yesterday and spiked over 11% on the day. This is a weekly chart. Now, we are rallying. We'll probably hit resistance at 32.50. The question then becomes, do we close there? We have a beautiful base that's formed here, a W formation. We're forming the right side of that W. In fact, we broke out above the pivot point back here in January, the week of January the 29th. Rallied, pulled back, formed support at 26.60. It looks as though we want to move higher on a weekly basis. Daily chart. Yesterday we closed above the 50-day moving average. Our Stokes are rising. RSI is rising. We do have some overhead supply back here. Buyers who bought back here will want their money back. How is volume? Volume is really good. So we may have enough rocket fuel to power through this resistance. Would I be a buyer right now? I would be a buyer of a very small position should we close above, I like the $33 per share mark. It takes you above about 50% of the overhead supply. I would then add on a new 2018 high. That would be a close above 36.80. So the chart of Twitter is looking good. Floor and Decor Holdings, weekly chart, a really nice chart here. We're in a tight consolidation. We did eke out a new weekly high, but we backed off a bit. We have resistance above at 58.28. I think we're very close to a buy signal here, but I would wait for a close above 58.28. That would spark a buy order. Daily chart. We are in a very tight triangle formation. These shares have held up very well over the past couple of months, and I think that they're going higher. If you wanted to scratch the itch, you could open up a position on a rally and a close above this upper band of resistance at, let's call it, $57 per share. We have Stokes and RSI, which are both hooking up higher. Volume could have been a bit better yesterday, but we are in a consolidation. You'll want to see that volume bar rise on any breakout. But this daily chart is looking very good, as does the weekly chart. Planet Fitness, weekly chart. Thus far this week, we have broken out to new highs. A very strong chart. Stokes are rising. RSI is rising. Volume is light. Even at this point during the week, it's light. Daily chart. We broke out here on April the 5th, consolidated, retested the breakout point, follow-through breakout yesterday. Really good. I think that these shares are moving higher. RSI moving higher, Stokes moving higher. Volume was very good yesterday. Tuesday, it was above average. So the chart here is looking very good. Higher low on RSI. Very strong Stokes. CASA, Casa Systems weekly chart. We have a continuation breakout this week. We eked out a breakout last week, but we closed off the highs. But this week, a continuation breakout. Daily chart. And by the way, PLNT, Casa, and the next one I'm going to go over are from new member Albert W. Thank you, Albert. He posted these in the forum. Very good picks. That's why we have the forum. Continue sharing those ideas, please. Daily chart of Casa. We broke out here on April the 12th. Consolidated continuation breakout day yesterday. RSI looking beautiful. All the indicators are looking sharp. Watch for a close above 34.21. If we get that close, expect higher highs in the coming days. Legend Pharmaceuticals, weekly chart. We broke out last week out of this triangle formation. We have a continuation week this week. Stokes are holding support, beginning to hook back up, RSI rising. We're looking for a breakout out of this bull flag formation on RSI. Daily chart. We eked out a breakout yesterday above 170.36, closing at 171.05. A new daily high. I think these shares can be bought. I would check the short interest. And this could be a very short-term swing trade. So we'll keep an eye on LGND. So very good picks, Albert. And again, welcome aboard. Microsoft, weekly chart. A good week thus far. We're nearing resistance at 97.24. RSI is threatening a breakout. Stokes are rising. Let's go to a daily chart. We saw a nice breakout on the 12th. We pulled back, retested, follow through day on the 16th, and yesterday. It looks as though these shares want to move higher. Volume rose yesterday, but still well below average. So that's one caveat I will put out there. In fact, with this entire market, the major averages, they are rallying on very light volume. So what this tells me is that a lot of this volume are computers squeezing shorts out of their positions. So just be careful. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with Microsoft, given the fact that it doesn't have a huge short interest. Just watch how the volume bars roll in for the remainder of the week. If they continue to trend down, that's a problem for this market. And that is it for this morning, folks. If you watch this on YouTube, give me a follow there. Leave a comment. I'll get back to you. And subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on the website, enter your email address. We hate spam too. You'll not be spammed. We'll send you out a couple of free trade tutorials. Plus, you'll get best stock charts each Saturday. Those are the stocks that we are looking to trade the coming week. Members, I will talk to you on Market Wrap this evening and see you in the forum. Everybody have a profitable trading day. Be well.